Hello friends, so here is the next lecture in the series of geography for UPSC. This time we are going to deal with volcanic landforms, and let's see what is a volcano, what are the landforms associated with it, and what are the type of eruptions that are there. So in this lecture I will be dealing with various parts of a volcano, types of volcanic eruptions, various landforms associated with volcanoes and its associated features, and then we will see some past questions. So what is volcanism? Now volcanism is a very frequently you hear this word. So Vulcan is the Roman god of fire, and it is believed that volcanic eruptions occurred when Vulcan, the god of the underworld, stoked his subterranean furnace beneath Volcano. A volcano is an island off the coast of Sicily, from which we get the present word, that is volcano. So volcano or volcanism, volcanicity are all these terms which have been derived from the word Vulcan. So volcanism is a geological term which describes all the activities that are related to volcanic eruptions. So volcanic eruptions, volcanic landforms, volcanic materials. When we talk about all of this, we are basically talking about volcanism. And volcanoes are the places on the Earth's surface from where magma comes out. So you could get confused between volcanism, volcanicity, and volcano. So volcanoes are places from where the magma from the inside of the Earth comes out, and volcanicity is the all the attributes that are related to volcanic eruptions, and all it's a geological term, so it carries in itself all that is done to study about eruptions and landforms and materials, etc. Now here I would like to just bring to your attention that magma is which is inside the earth. Once magma comes out, then you call it lava. So there's this basic difference between magma and lava is what you should pay attention to. So volcano can be a fissure type or sheet type, or it can be cone type. So cone type means there is a mountain, just like here you can see in this clip art over here, there is a cone, and magma is coming from inside, out of a cone. So it's a conical shape that you can see. So it's basically a hill or a mountain, and magma comes out from the inside of the cone. On the other hand, there could be a fissure or a sheet, and it's not a cone but a complete a line, and it happens in a linear pattern. So this is known as a fissure or a sheet type of volcano. Such volcanoes, fissure type volcanoes, generally occur on the boundaries of the plates. Okay, so there could be this is a type of volcano on the basis of its structure. Another type of volcano could be, see here you can see this here in the picture, you can see fissure type, where you can see a linear pattern, and a volcanic material is coming out from that fissure. On the other hand, here you can see a cone from where the volcanic material is coming out. So it can be a conical or it can be a fissure type. Now another type of volcano, a classification which you can do, is on the basis of its activity, whether it is an active volcano which erupts quite frequently, maybe it can erupt daily, or maybe once in a month, or maybe once in a week, but it is very active and it frequently erupts. A dormant, which has not erupted for a long time, but you cannot say it may erupt in the future, but it is not very active. It erupts once in say 20 years, once in 50 years. So it's a dormant volcano. And extinct means it is now you are sure that volcanic eruption is not going to take place, most probably. So the probability is that 99% there won't be any volcanic activity or any volcanic material coming inside from this type of volcano. So that would be an extinct volcano. Okay, so these are the various types of volcanoes. Now let's look at the structure of a volcano. A volcano will necessarily have a vent, a crater, a plug, and a magma chamber. These are some of the words which you will come across when you study about volcanoes. So vent is basically the hole through which the magma finally comes out, and you can see it on the Earth's surface. It comes out through that vent, so it's a hole type of thing. Crater is the conical shape which remains after the volcanic material has come out. So it's like a conical shape, and it's little deep, and so you can find that it's like a cone, but on the inside and not on the outside. And plug is what it sometimes it gets the volcanic material doesn't come out because the vent is smaller, and therefore it stops the volcanic eruption to come, and then that is known as the plug. And magma chamber is the source of all magma. So it is where all the magma is boiling inside the earth's surface, below that cone or below the fissure. So this is the magma chamber. Now let's look at the diagram, and that will help us to be a little more clear. So here you can see the crater. So crater is the conical shape, but not towards the sky, towards the ground, that is left after you see that all the volcanic material has come out. So there will be a cone, secondary cone. The vent is the hole or the pipe. Vent is also known as the pipe. The pipe through which the volcanic material comes from the magma chamber. You can see the magma chamber over here, and this is below the earth's surface. So this is the magma chamber here, and this is below the earth's surface. This is the home of all the magma that is there. And then you can see the layers of ash and lava. So this is the lava flow. The orange color here shows the lava flow. There can also be some ash here, and some clouds may also form. And this is the layers of ash and lava. So once one eruption comes, this is the deposition that takes place, and then another eruption comes and another deposition takes place. So this is how you can understand the structure of a volcano. Now, what comes out of a volcano? Now this question has been always asked, and this you have to be very conversant with all these materials that come out, and you need to understand. We will see what are the terms that are used for these various types of volcano. So the materials will include lava, of course the magma. When it comes out, it is known as lava. It has some steam, so it is not that it is just lava, but even just pure steam can come out. Various gaseous sulfur compounds, there could be ash, and there will be broken rock pieces. So sometimes rock pieces are molten in the form of lava, or they can be also pieces coming out from the vent without actually melting. The magma is heavily charged with gases such as carbon dioxide, hydrogen with sulfur. Sulfur is always there with these gases. Small proportions of nitrogen, chlorine, and other volatile substances. And the gases and the vapor increase the mobility and explosiveness of the lavas basically. So the more gases and more vapor that you have, the explosiveness will be greater. And actually that is the reason that the volcanoes behave in different ways. A volcano will be different from another volcano because it will erupt either explosively or effusively. So that is determined by the presence of bubbles in the volcanic materials. So what comes out of the volcano is, we can easily say that yes, gases come out, water comes out, carbon dioxide comes out, sulfur dioxide comes out, hydrogen chloride comes out. But the different proportions of these gases and the water vapor actually tells us how the volcano is going to behave, how the magma that is coming outside will behave when it comes outside. So it depends on this characteristic of the volcano. So whether it will be explosive or whether it will be effusive, whether it will be silent or it will explode with a loud thump, a loud voice. So that is what will decide. So gases and the vapor actually decide. So this is a picture of some volcanic eruptions, and you can see lava coming out. If it is very explosive, the lava may take various shapes and it can come out like a fountain. Here in this picture you can see some gases, you can see smoke coming out, you can see some ash also. So this is what comes out of volcano. Now let's look at some of the important words that are related to volcanic eruption. The rapid eruption of expanding gases results in the fragmentation of magma and rock. So sometimes you get molten rock, but sometimes also rock pieces come out. And the greater the explosivity, the greater the amount of fragmentation. So you will now have to learn two terms which are known as pyroclasts and which are known as tephra. In the past, questions have been asked on pyroclasts and tephra, in mains exams, basically, where you have to define what are pyroclasts, and some eruption questions have been asked. So basically, what is the difference between pyroclast and what is the difference and tephra? So pyroclast is basically anything that comes out of the volcano. So it is a volcanic material, so we call it pyroclast. Pyro, the word pyro comes from fire, and clast is fragments or pieces. So but tephra is when the pyroclastic material is going into the air and then coming down. So basically tephra becomes an airborne pyroclastic accumulation. So pyroclasts will be anything which has come from the ground and has been deposited on the ground coming from the vent. But tephra is something which has gone into the air first and then it has come down. Sometimes, what happens is that volcanic eruptions and the material that comes out can go up to 45 kilometers in the air, in the various layers of the atmosphere. It can go up to 45 kilometers, and therefore this goes up and then comes down. So there is basically a change in the chemical composition and physical property of that material, so that becomes tephra. So earlier pyroclastics and tephra were used synonymously, but now they are used differently. So tephra means anything which has become airborne and then has accumulated on the ground. So now we can divide the tephra or the pyroclasts into various types depending on their size. So if it is very fine, if it is less than 2 millimeters in diameter, if it is very fine grained fragment, then it will be known as ash. If it is from pea to walnut size, that is if it is between 2 to 64 millimeters in diameter, then it will be known as lapilli. And if it is very bigger than more than 64 millimeters, it is going to be quite a big one, maybe like a ball or even bigger than that, then that will be known as bomb. So these are the three types of volcanic materials that come out during a volcanic eruption. Here you can see the pictures also. The first one, the topmost picture, shows ash. You can see it is very fine, its diameter is less than 2 millimeters. Then the second one, the middle picture, shows pea shapes or walnut size pyroclasts. They are known as lapilli. And the last ones, they are very big enough, they are like stones, and you can see a small coin there, and you can see that they are bigger than the coin, to give you an idea of the size. And therefore you will see these are known as the bombs because they are quite big ones. Now what happens is that sometimes in pictures or in newspapers, in news, you get pyroclastic flows and lava flows. You hear these terms, but they are two different terms. Pyroclastic flows, because of their larger amount of gas and water in them, they are actually very fast. They are less viscous, they are not very thick, and they move very fast. So pyroclastic flows can be very fast, and they can cover around 100 to 200 kilometers in just an hour. So they are going to be very fast, and they can cover large areas in less time. On the other hand, lava flows are thick flows, and they will be very slow in their movement. So sometimes the newspapers report it as pyroclastic flows, but they are lava flows. So you must understand the difference between pyroclastic flows and lava flows. See, these are the types of, again, these are some pictures which tell you the types of volcanic materials that come out during a volcanic eruption. Here you can see these pictures. These are all various types of volcanic materials. Now let's go back to our lava. So there are two types of lava that can come out during a volcanic eruption. It is basic and acidic. So two types, basic lava and acidic lava. Basic lava is very hot. The temperatures can be 1000 degrees Celsius. It will also be highly fluid. It will be dark colored like basalt. Because it is dark colored, it is obvious that it will be rich in iron and magnesium and poor in silica content. Okay, and it will flow quietly. It will not be explosive. It will not be explosive, and it will flow at the rate of 10 to 30 miles per hour. That is around 60 to 70 kilometers per hour, not more than that. But because it flows quietly, it will affect large areas, and it will spread out in thin sheets, and it will lead to formation of domes or shield volcanoes. We will look at them a little later in the presentation. So they lead to different types of landforms. So lava depending on the type of lava, you can say what type of landform will be formed by the volcano. Acidic, it will be highly viscous, it will have a high melting point. Because it is viscous, it will not easily melt, so it will have a high melting point. It will be light colored, it will have low density, and as opposed to the basic lava, it will have high content of silica. It will flow slowly because it is highly viscous. It will flow very slowly, slower than the basic lava. It will not travel very far, and therefore because it is very highly viscous, it will lead to conic volcanoes with steep sides. So again, there is a difference between the type of landforms that are formed. This difference is because of the content of the lava, whether the lava is acidic or basic. And it will lead to loud explosions because it is highly viscous, so it will, and because of high silica, it will lead to loud explosions, and you will hear a big thump, a big noise in this. Now let's see some of the basic types of volcanic eruptions. Here in this picture you can see the type of things that are coming out of the eruption. On that basis we have divided it into various types. You can see here this is like some cauliflower cloud. On the other hand, here it is not a cloud. So there is a difference in the materials that are coming, and therefore the eruption is also different. So you can see here that in a Hawaiian eruption, if you see here in the Hawaiian eruption, fluid basaltic lava is thrown into the air in jets from a vent, and at the summit or on the flank of the volcano in Hawaiian eruption. So this has come from because of the volcanic eruption. So you can say in Hawaii. So this has been named after Hawaii. Okay, see this is an example of the Hawaiian volcano here. And what happens that in the spatter created by bits of hot lava, they fall as a fountain and they can melt together and form lava flows. So Hawaiian eruptions are famous for lava flows, which I told you is different from the pyroclastic flows. Next we can see here is the Strombolian eruption, which is famous, which has been named after the famous Stromboli volcano in the Mediterranean Sea. So here in the Strombolian eruption, what happens is that there is fluid lava, which is usually basaltic or andesite, and explosions usually occur every few minutes at regular or irregular intervals. So it's a very active kind of volcano, and explosions of lava can reach heights of hundreds of meters, and they are caused by the bursting of large bubbles of gas which travel upward, okay, and they reach the open air. So this type of eruption is known as the Strombolian eruption after the Stromboli volcano. Next you can see is the Vulcanian eruption. In Vulcanian eruption, it is a short eruption, but it is very violent, and it has a relatively small explosion of viscous magma. So it also has andesite or rhyolite in it, but this type of eruption results from the plug of a lava, because sometimes what happens is that the plug disrupts volcanic eruption, but if there is a large force from inside the pressure inside the earth, then this can also break the plug. And you can see that Vulcanian eruption is throwing out a lot of things, clouds of hot ash, gas and rock in the air. So this is an example of a Vulcanian eruption. It will mainly have ash clouds, and they are small to moderate explosive, but ash columns can rise up to 20 kilometers. So they are known for their ash clouds and the columns of ash that they create for so much time after the eruption. So this is Vulcanian eruption. Next is the Plinian eruption. Here you can see the Plinian eruption. A cauliflower like cloud is formed, and this is one of the most explosive and most dangerous kind of and destructive kind of volcanic eruptions that can take place. And they also have viscous magmas in them. They can also have rhyolites. They release enormous amounts of energy and create eruption they create columns of gas and ash that can rise up to 50 kilometers. So you can say that they are bigger eruptions than the Vulcanian eruptions. Vulcanian eruptions can reach up to 20 kilometers, but Plinian eruptions can reach up to 50 kilometers of ash columns, and that too at a high speed of hundreds of meters per second. So for just in seconds it can reach up to so many kilometers soon. And this famous volcano of Mount Vesuvius, which erupted the city, and a Pliny, a historian, a Roman historian, he was because he noted all these things. So this eruption has been named after that person. So this is very explosive and it can lead to total destruction in the area. This is an example of the Pelian type of eruption. It has been named after Pele, the god, and in this you can see lava, gas, and pyroclastic flows and explosive outbursts. So it is also a similar kind of to Plinian, but a little less explosive, but it can have lots of hot gas and magma. Okay, so this is the Pelian example is Mount Pelly on the Caribbean island of Martinique in 1902. So these have been named after this Mount Pelé eruption in Martinique in the Caribbean islands. So this is another type of volcanic eruption. And the last one which we have to discuss is the Icelandic eruption. Here in the Icelandic eruption you can see it is characterized by effusion of molten basaltic lava, and that flows from long parallel fissures. So as I've told you, it happens where there are plate boundaries, and such outpourings, they can lead to formation of lava plateaus. So they will not happen from a cone, but they are basically fissure volcanoes, and eruption happens from fissures, and it can happen for days. Actually, this eruption can go on for days also. So this type of eruption is named after Iceland, because these are common in Iceland, and therefore they are called Icelandic eruptions. Now there is something else, another type of eruption. You can't say type, but it is a format of eruption, we can say, which is known as the phreatic eruption. So and in why this is known as phreatic? Because it is driven by the heat from magma interacting with water. So if there is a lot of water near this magma chamber, the magma chamber is full of lava. So if the water can be from groundwater or some hydrothermal system, or there could be a surface runoff and it is going and meeting the groundwater or something like that, but there is a lot of water and it is interacting with the magma chamber, then the phreatic eruption can just occur with a lot of water in the eruption and can produce ash. Okay, so this surrounding rocks, it can make it wet because of the water. So this will mainly be a steam kind of explosion, and can also lead to a breaking of the rock. So there will be less of magma but more of hot gases and steam. So they are special type of eruptions, and they are known as the phreatic eruption. So sometimes the combination of eruptions can be seen. For example, there could be something like the phreatic Plinian eruption or phreatic Pelian eruption. Okay, it means it's a combination of two types of volcanic eruptions. So let's understand how it happens. If you see here, this figure here, so this is the magma chamber here in this number 7, and the explosion occurs over here where there is a water layer, because there is a water table, and 5 number you can see is the water table. The blue color shows the water table, and the water table is meeting the magma. The magma is rising from 7, but it is meeting the water layer, and therefore you can see here that there an explosion is occurring, and that will come out in the form of a water or a steam cloud. This water or steam cloud is very big, and sometimes it also may carry some particles of ash or lava, but more water and steam will be there. So this is the structure of a phreatic eruption. Now what happens is that when this eruption occurs, phreatic eruptions, they lead to formation of low relief craters called maars. So they form craters, but they are different types of craters. They are low relief. You won't find a very typical conical shape in them, but they are little flat. So they are craters, but they are flat craters, not so much conical. So they have a low relief, and they are known as maars. And then when water fills in them, because the water is situated near the surface, the water table is near the surface, so the water can come out, or if it rains, or due to some other reason, if water is there, then they can form lakes. They are known as maar lakes. Emission of hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide gases can lead to asphyxiation, whereas hydrogen sulfide produced in large scale is extremely toxic. This type of eruption has been very toxic. It can lead to eruption of gases, emission of gases during eruptions. And it has happened that in Java in 1979, in such a type of eruption, 140 people have been killed. So the effect of phreatic eruption is sometimes even more dangerous than the other type of eruptions, because you don't find them very seriously hazardous. You feel that it's just water or it's just steam, but actually this can be really very hazardous. There is also an account of Kilauea in Hawaii, the Kilauea region of Hawaii in 1924, and only just with this phreatic eruption, just with the water, it could detonate the rocks, around 8 tons of rocks, to a distance of more than a kilometer. So this is the power in that eruption. Because of this hot gas and hot water, the peaks of the glaciers or lakes can also melt, and therefore again it can lead to flooding. Because of a sudden flow of water coming from the mountains or from the lakes, the surrounding regions can become flooded. Because of the heat, they can melt, the glaciers can melt, and it can lead to flooding. Alaska is known for such maar lakes. It has a lot of maar lakes in it. So this was all about the volcanic eruptions, and let's look at the volcanic erupticity index. Now, because of the volcanic eruption, we don't understand how much effective and how much destructive will a volcano be. Therefore, a volcanic erupticity index has been designed, because it will help us to know that how are the intensities of say phreatic eruptions, rather small or more in comparison to their magmatic counterparts, magmatic. So do they pose a threat or do they don't? So this type of erupticity can be understood by an index, and this is known as the VEI, or the volcanic erupticity index. The volcanic erupticity index begins at 0 for eruptions that produce less than 0.001 cubic kilometer of ejecta. Ejecta means the things that have come out, that have been ejected. So most of these eruptions are very small in size, and some of them are effusive. They are not explosive, but they are effusive, means they're just like bubbles. They are not very much explosive, or you can hear loud thuds or noise. It is not like that. It is very effusive. So if it scales, it begins at 0 and it goes on to more of it. So it goes on to 10 actually. So eruptions rated at VEI 1 produce between 0.001 and 0.001 cubic kilometers of ejecta. It means that there is a 10 times increase in the amount of material ejected. VEI 2 eruption will be 10 times of VEI 1. VEI 3 will produce 10 times more cubic kilometers of ejecta. So it depends on the volume of the materials that have been produced. So this progression of the scale is from 0 to 8, and it can also go to 0 to 10. Okay. For example, a plus is often added to the eruptions because that shows an extra erupticity in that volcano. Means it shows that these were more explosive than the normal range in that scale of eruptions. So plus sign shows that it was more stronger. So this is the erupticity of the volcanoes. Let's see how this is. So you can see here 1 to 8, VEI 0 to 8, and here 0.0 is the volume of erupted tephra, or the volcanic material, 0.001 kilometers cube, and the height that it generated, eruption height, was less than 0.1 kilometers. So it was less than 100 meters basically, On the other hand, if you go to 8, it is around 1000 kilometer cubes, and the height was around greater than 25 kilometers. So the height of eruption went to more than 25 kilometers. Now if I just lay this volcanic explosivity index in a horizontal manner, I see some interesting things. See here, so you can see that Hawaiian, Strombolian are between volcanic erupticity index of 0 to 3 or 2, and the Vulcanian, Plinian and Ultraplinian are even more than that. So basically the Plinian type of volcanic eruptions are said to be the most destructive. They are the cauliflower ones, which produce large amount of ash clouds or magma clouds, lava clouds, and they can go up to something like more than 50 kilometers in length. They can produce columns of this material. So these are the most destructive and most eruptive, and therefore they are known as, they are at the scale of 6 to 8, which is the highest level of this volcanic erupticity index. You can see here in detail. So the Hawaiian and Strombolian are not so eruptive according to the volcanic erupticity index, but the Plinian and the Ultraplinian can be at the higher index. Okay, now let's discuss some past questions. Basically, volcanic landforms or volcanic eruptions is a very large topic. It is not possible to cover everything in one video, but in this video I have mainly covered types of eruptions and the effects of volcanic eruptions. So exams in past exams, questions have been asked on phreatic volcanic eruptions, questions have been asked on types of volcanic eruptions and their effects, questions have been asked on pyroclastic flows and types of tephra or those materials, and in general the distribution of volcanoes. So some of these topics we have not discussed, but we will be discussing them in some next videos. So so you have to be prepared with this topic of volcanic eruptions very well. It's really an important topic. So in the next video we will be discussing about causes of volcanic eruption. We will also be discussing about various landforms that are associated with volcanic eruptions. Thank you, dear friends. Thank you so much.